Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thinking right out here in the lab, in the wee hours of the morning, doing what I do for you. I got something good for you today. Let's get this party started. Rightism, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message in the story for life. I give life lessons. You tune in and receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's rock. Right Thinker's mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinker's way of life, excuse me, through mental and spiritual discipline. Oh, stop. Daily, practice daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission, and that's what I'm on, is that all right thinkers know thyself. Right thinkers, if you're a right thinker, your goal should be to know thyself. See where I'm going with this? So I ask the question, do you know you? It's rhetorical, but if you don't have an answer for yourself, don't worry about it. Tune in. I'll help you with that. That's what I do for you. A person who knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not. They simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believes and think that they know, dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers know thyself. And always to Mayat be true. Right thinkers, let's talk about the principles of Aset and aspects of Mayat, virtue and wisdom. Good combination. Once you get the understanding, you're on your way up the tree of life. So let's talk about it. The principle of Aset and how to discover and adopt the cosmic wisdom that leads to what? Enlightenment on the journey of the tree of life. We're working our way up now. Let's go. So being good is okay. In philosophy of Aset, you must go beyond just being a good person. That happens when you grow in what? Spiritual wisdom, aka knowledge of self. The studies of the mysteries of the mystical philosophy, such as the teachings that we learning now of the tree of life. This is the philosophy we learning, understanding. And we saw how we just got through with Neptat, the faculties that passage. She is what? I told you, the doorway. You know how some people are. We talk about death. They want to go to heaven, but they don't want to what? Die. We heard the phrase. Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. That represents death. So you got to go through her to get to the next level. And you have to go through Neptat because she is deaf. And in order to experience the bliss of the transcendent, meaning the next level in life, this ain't the last stop. This is just the first stop. And if you don't get past this, then you can't get to the next one. When you become conscious of that, now she is therefore what? A benefit being. Meaning what? She does away with your physical body. So now you can what? Experience the higher forms of consciousness. When we go to sleep, our subconscious takes over. You don't need the physical body. Why? Because it's just at rest. The mind still does what it does. Okay. But if you go on holding on to what? Your egoistic me, I concept, that will curtail your spiritual evolution, aka growth. You won't grow if you're still holding on to the egoistic concepts of me and I. Your qualities won't rise. You won't get no better. In other words, you'll be back reincarnated. So we talk about the mysteries of death. Okay. How when the soul in the form of a Asar got intoxicated with the world and how it became what? Seduced by the worldliness, aka Neptat. And since Asar, watch this, because he was a good man at heart and his heart was pure, he what? He passed, and that led him to what? Resurrection. He rose to the next level. Why? His heart was pure, light as Maya's feather. However, it's always a however, for most people, watch this, it leads them to reincarnation. Why? They didn't have a pure heart. See where I'm going with this? He was the first. And everybody after that would be considered Asar, Mark. If I got there, my first name would be Asar, and I go by Mark. And again, watch this. This is a process which we discussed in the story of Asar. They told a story about the good man and the not good man. The good man was the poor man, the not good man was the rich man, and the rich man just thought he was endowed. He just thought he had a privilege. Sound familiar? So that was the story. But this teachings talks about the levels of what? Consciousness. Christ consciousness. He had 12 levels. 12 laws, whatever. But those zodiac signs, whatever it is, you need to learn them and become conscious. How about that? And that the soul has to experience when? After death and the passageway into what? Another world. We always had the another world concept, the afterlife concept, Amenta, Urantia. We always had that concept. Heaven and hell, y'all didn't just come up with that. That was our concept. Moving on, just let you know. So, but watch this here, as far as the Anuian tree of life is concerned with the divinities, the emphasis is now on what? Understanding that this level is just the first level, which represented by Set and that egoism and mortality. Again, death. That we are trying to climb over or to raise ourselves through what? On the path to reaching the highest level, which is what? Ra. We started at the top, worked our way back down. Now we're working our way back up to reach what? Our Father, Ra. AKA. So this is the level of what? The first level we on right now, worldliness, the physical world, okay? If you are in love with physical stuff, sexual pleasures, things, fame and fortune, all that greedy nonsense, you are going to stay here and do it again. What? You didn't learn nothing. This is not permanent. So you got to get past that. You got to die to the worldliness, okay, and your egoism, the vices that you acquire, the worldly desires, and so on. These are things that you have to give up. And if you are egotistical, you hold on to them for dear life. Okay, and so forth and so on. And by becoming, you ready? Virtuous, righteous, we overcome all of those other qualities that supersedes them. Watch this. Now, it's also important here to understand, watch this, the principle. Understand the principle, watch this, of virtue. Who's that? You ready? As the goddess of virtue. You know who that is? You see me do this every day. Maya. If you're living Maya, you're living virtuous. You have integrity. You are a selfless server. You're doing what's right when you're supposed to. And that's all the time. How about that? When I deviated, I paid the price. I teach it. I live it. I learn it as I go. When I make a mistake, I got to pay for that also. So understand that. I'm not exempt from that, but I learn. Do you? If you do something wrong, you should learn from that. You got to do it again once we understand. Moving on. So that's the whole thing. But you, virtuous lifestyle, excuse me, women, the worldly desires, and so forth and so on. But becoming virtuous and righteous will overcome those. Now, it's also important who virtue and what it represents. Virtue, the goddess of virtue, is Maat. Maat is an aspect, hear me, an aspect of the goddess of wisdom, which is Aset. See, they go together. They help you as a person, you have to have them. Virtue, watch this, which Maat, meaning what? Truth, order, justice, purifies the soul and soul so that it can what? Contemplate through what? Mental clarity, what? The higher perspectives of life. You got to go beyond the lower nature. Now you're rising, okay? And in other words, it develops a spiritual sensitivity. It's starting to become spiritual. And otherwise, watch this, otherwise, if the personality is controlled by who? Set and Nefet. You're living on a lower level. You are egotistical and you don't know mortality. Why? The mind remains nebulous. That means clouded. That means unclear because you living in that haze, that phase, okay? And the conception of your soul and wisdom, what? Escapes you. You don't have a clue. You're ignorant of your higher self. Asar and Aset escapes you. Why? Because they are beyond your capacity for understanding higher consciousness. You're ignorant. They are like some kind of theoretical conception that what is not really clear to you. And if somebody's trying to tell you something or teach and you don't understand, excuse me, I didn't understand that, make them break it down, explain it to you. Don't just let them go by and just say, well, I didn't know what he's talking about. I understand. It's not being a good student, okay? Your goal, your job is to be understanding of what's being presented to you. Now, if you don't have the capacity to understand, these are like some kind of concept that you really don't understand. But how is this problem to be solved or overcome? You have to what? In order to be able to achieve the proper understanding of the Netherrean philosophy, aka right thinking philosophy, excuse me, it is necessary to cleanse your personality. That means you got to better your lower nature and rise to become a better individual. Just being a good person ain't cutting it. You got to be exceptional at what you're doing. And the personality, once it's cleansed, how is it cleansed? Through the liquor, okay, the water, the bathing of, you ready? Again, my girl, Maat. Maat, as the Maat teaching says, which given to you in the writings of the Maat papyrus, okay? Maat is a goddess, you ready? Of cosmic force, not a female, a principle concept of cosmic force operating in the universe, a spiritual principle that you can adopt, and it according to your WRIGHT, which is your karma, your actions, you reap what you sow, and reincarnation, as well as a philosophy of what, you ready? Philosophy of right thing philosophy based on order, balance, truth, and my favorite, reciprocity, operating through virtue and wisdom, or disorder, imbalance, and misfortune operating through what? Vice. The liquor of Maat is a kind of aura that what? Envelops a person with positive feelings and virtuous energy and thoughts that what? Counteract the what? And wash away iniquities and bad feelings and thoughts due to what? Their unrighteous nature and actions of what? The past, and the unrighteous selfishness thoughts and forms of understanding that will cloud their intellect. Mean you won't be able to think clear. You won't be able to function. Why? You all emotional, you all excited, anxiety, a whole bunch of stuff that will cloud your intellect. Simple. Control your emotions. Why? The liquor of Maat is acquired. How? Through daily ritual, actions, as well as study of the Mayatean teachings, the lessons based on the, again, Maatian principles, Maat philosophy. That's what I practice. That's what I live by. That's what I teach. The Maat Papyrus says what? Mat Neb Bu-Ten. That means Maat is everywhere. Okay? Cha Hina Maat. That means rise in the morning with Maat, aka Ra. Ankh Hana Maat. That means live with Maat. These are all the things that I practice. And watch this. Then you have Ha Sema Maat. What that means? That means your body your body becomes one with Maat at your very actions, your very thoughts, and your deeds, and your speech becomes Matean, aka Makahu in nature. You're speaking from the heart. You do things from the heart. You're living selflessly. And watch this. Part of the Maat teachings refers to what? Your lower practice. These relates to the previous levels of what? Of the teachings. When you are rising with who? With Maat. When you were living with Maat, when you were practicing truth from the 42 confessions, principles of Maat, and then you what? Teachings, and then the teachings of what? Righteousness or practice, and so on and so forth. And what happens? They relate to the level where when you, the aspirant, are learning that what? Maat Akhu. Maat means realizing, you ready for this? Maat is the source of life. All these are lower aspects, lower rungs on the practice of Maat philosophy on a daily basis. And this is when you have been following Maat and being a good person. Watch this. And you should be doing that and so on and so forth. But up to this level, you don't really have an advanced idea yet. Any conceptions of higher perspective of life or mystical awareness of the transcendental being. You haven't realized who you are yet. When you start having Ha Sema Maat, that is when the mysticism starts kicking in. When you have your experience with God. When you start to become one with Maat, aka God, and knowing, not believing, knowing by becoming one with that divinity, you start perceiving Maat within yourself. My favorite. As yourself. You see Maat in yourself, you see it as yourself, and your actions, you're personally what? Becoming purified as it becomes blended with Maat philosophy on a daily basis, and a cosmic communion or a union occurs when? Between you and Maat. And since Maat is one with the universe, aka God, one with all, and since she is what? An aspect of God, and guess what? Then of course you must become one with God as well. That's the goal of all right thinkers, to become what? One with your higher self, God. Now I'm gonna got another lesson. I'm gonna cut this one short because I hope you got the lesson. I made it real clear. Now I'm gonna break down Maat and aspects of her and Aset. But I'll do that in the next lesson. And in closing, right thinkers, may you all live to be 100, and may 100 minus a day. So I never know that my right thinkers have passed away. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'll be right back.